Marillion's 1980s albums are iconic and progressive rock, but they can be intimidating for new listeners. There's long tracks, concept albums and intricate lyrics. So in this video, I'll give you a structured guide to each album, explain the key tracks, and show you how to approach the music to get the most out of it. Now, by following this guide, you'll understand why these albums are so celebrated and know exactly where to start your own Marillion journey. Their first album was Script for a Jester's Tear, their debut album from 1983, and it immediately established them as a band with a flair for dramatic emotional storytelling. Now, the album blended melancholic melodies with strong lyrical themes about love, loss, and confusion. Key tracks included He Knows You Know, which dealt with addiction, and the title track is a 6-minute piece filled with emotional highs and lows. Now, Garden Party is another standout track, showing the band's ironic and slightly sarcastic take on social events. It's a really important album as it set the tone for the band's iconic 1980s sound, mixing pop sensibilities with progressive complexity. Now, listening to it first, it gives you a solid grounding in their style and lyrical approach, making the rest of the decade's albums really so much easier to appreciate. Now, their second album from 1984 was called Fugazi, Fugazi, and it's often a darker and more intense effort than the debut, with heavier focus on storytelling and atmosphere. The lyrics explore the themes of personal struggles, alienation, and emotional vulnerability, giving the album a much more introspective tone. Key tracks on this one: Punch and Judy, it's a song about a breakdown of relationships, and Assassin, which features energetic rhythms and sharp, biting lyrics. Now, the album also includes the title track, Fugazi, a longer track with a brooding and tense progression that really showcased the band's musical ambitions at the time. Now, this album is important because it showed just how Marillion were growing in confidence, experimenting with much more complex song structures, whilst all the time maintaining that accessibility with the fans. Now, listening to Fugazi after their debut helps you understand the emotional depth and narrative focus that will define their later work. The third of the 80s albums was Misplaced Childhood. Now, this is an album that really told the story of lost innocence and self-discovery, flowing seamlessly from one track to the next. It included their most famous single, Kaylee. Remember that one? A heartfelt and melodic song about a past relationship that became such a mainstream hit for the band. Another key track is Lavender, which paired nostalgic lyrics with a beautiful, memorable melody. The album is structured so that the songs connect both musically and thematically, and this creates a continuous listening experience. The album is important because it showed that Marillion at their most cohesive and ambitious, and what they were doing was blending progressive rock with pop hooks in a way that really drew international attention to them. As you listen to it now, it does give you a sense of why the band had become so influential by the mid-1980s and why their storytelling approach was so compelling. I'd just break off a moment. If you're enjoying this video and getting value from it, please remember to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future releases. Thanks for that. Now, in 1987, the band released Clutching at Straws, and this dealt with themes of personal failure more this time, self-doubt, and also societal pressures, making it one of Marillion's most emotionally raw albums. So key tracks again, this included Incommunicado. This was a catchy yet biting commentary on fame and isolation. And Sugar Mice, a slow, heartbreaking story about a failing relationship. There's also Warm Wet Circles on this, and this showed just how the band's ability to combine lyrical depth with those beautiful melodic hooks made it a memorable, especially for these new listeners. Also on here is Warm Wet Circles, and this showed just how the band's ability to combine lyrical depths with melodic hooks made it memorable, especially for new listeners. Now, this album's so important because it reflects a period of transition for the band, both musically and personally, with lyrics that felt authentic and very much relatable. Now, when you listen to this album specifically, it helps you see the band's range, the balancing accessibility with that emotional weight that really defined so much of their 1980s work. And it also served as a bridge towards the slightly different sound that they will explore in Season's End, which we'll take a look at next. Now, that album, Season's End, came out in 1989, and it was the first Marillion album with their new singer, Steve Hogarth, marking a shift in the band's sound, whilst helping to keep the emotional and melodic depth of those 1980s albums alive. The songs explored themes of loss, change, and hope, and showed the band adapting to a new era, and those new dynamics of having a new person in the band. Key tracks included Easter, which was a powerful song about political and personal struggle, and The Uninvited Guest, which combined reflective lyrics with a strong melodic hook. White Russian is another to highlight, demonstrating the band's ability to create epic, emotionally charged compositions. Now, this was an important release because it signalled Marillion's resilience and ability to evolve whilst still honouring those 1980s roots. As you listen to it, it gave closure to the 1980s era and showed just how the band began preparing for the 1990s, really without losing their signature style, and brings to a close our look at these 80s albums from this most impressive band. So that's the essential guide to Marillion's 1980s albums, for you as a new listener to the band or a regular looking for a refresh. Starting out with Script for a Jester's Tear and moving through Fugazi, Misplaced Childhood, Clutching at Straws, and finally Season's End. And I hope you can see just how the band evolved, both musically and lyrically. Each album has its own highlights, themes and key tracks, but put them together and they formed a clear path for any new listener like you to understand and enjoy the band's most influential decade. Now, I do recommend playing these albums in release order, paying close attention to the storytelling, and you'll begin to quickly see why Marillion's 1980s work is still celebrated today. Now, please let me know in the comments which of these 80s Marillion albums you like the best, as well as how you found the change in singer may have altered the dynamics of the band. You can also let me know what you want to see more of on the channel there as well. Now, in the next video, I'll look at in greater depth how the change in singers came about and how the fans reacted to this change. As soon as that is available, there will be a link to it on screen. I'd like you to check out the description to this video, as there's a wealth of information about the band if you are new to them, as well as more about this channel, the Album Review channel. Thanks for watching and enjoy your journey through Marillion's music. Until next time, keep listening, keep exploring, and remember, in the world of prog, the journey never really ends.